Hello. Are you there?
I am trying to get my microphone to work, I guess.
Well, I can hear you, so it should be working.
I've got a new laptop. Hang on, I'm gonna reach up here and see if I can grab some headphones. Maybe this new laptop will plug in that way.
Here you go, last one.
Let's see. Oh, here we go. Does that do anything any better?
Oh, it was fine before. Now you're gone. I lost you.
Huh?
There you are. I had lost you there for a minute.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay. Yeah. See, it said it's changed to my microphone to my Dell Access, whatever. But yeah, I could never figure out how to get this. I've got a new laptop and um, I could never get the speaker, to come on. I don't know if there's some new little touch fango thing to go. I don't know, but anyway,
So, Dave, you are the ghost bike guy.
yeah, I guess affectionately known. I don't know about affectionately, but one reporter, I was putting one out downtown Atlanta. Right, it's still there, right behind the aquarium. Um, One reporter came up to me and looked at me and said, "You're the angel nobody wants to meet." And I said, "Well, I'm not an angel by no standards, but I am a guy that tremendously understands the backside of what happens in this society when somebody does get killed on a bike or a pedestrian or even somebody in a car. Your loved ones leave the house every day um, for whatever reason, and you always think they're going to come home. And 97 now going to wind up being almost 100 times I put out white bikes for fallen friends that should have returned back home. That's for sure.
I could have easily been one of those. My accident was October 5th, 2017, where that's how I got my traumatic brain injury.
Wow. Yeah, I don't know. My ex-wife now thinks that when I got hit head on by an 86-year-old that came across the road, was turning down a side street that I had literally gotten almost totally through the intersection, where he was going. And the witness that I luckily had was up on the sidewalk walking his dog. I hollered as I started to, see the wheel well of his car at the last minute. He turned and saw the whole thing. And then he told the officer that, no, officer, the gentleman was not going down the correct side of the street. He was cutting the corner off. He would have hit traffic oncoming had there been traffic coming out of that intersection. And I was like 3 feet from getting through the intersection. And yeah, it changed my life forever. I see sunrises and sunsets totally different now. Um, every day I wake up, there's something that I'm going to do for Bike Friendly Atlanta. I just got through moving twice in about a year, little less than a year. I'm now in my new town home, which is the home of Bike Friendly Atlanta, and I'm not in Atlanta anymore, but I am getting ready to go down to Santa Rosa Beach to replace a ghost bike for a gentleman. Got a lady in Eatonton that just got taken from us. So I'm probably the only guy trying to put himself, I don't want to say out of business, but yeah, I'm trying to, stop doing what I'm doing, and that would be a good thing.
Yeah, I don't want to say planned obsolescence is the right word, but it's kind of like the more fitting word out of it, you know?
Sure, sure, no doubt about it. I now have taken on a big task of trying to revive a tennis career that at one time I was one of the, I don't know, probably one of the most aggressive serving volleyers, around the country. Represented the United States a couple of times on Davis Cup team, senior Davis Cup teams. Um, so I'm trying to get my body back in shape after about 10 years, which has basically been about since my crash. Um, and going to see what happens. I've got a couple of my former students that are doctors and pharmacists that are kind of, spearheading this and seeing, and I'm using it more as a, kind of like music artists do when, let's say they're a country artist. The biggest thing they can do is cross over into another genre and, collaborate with somebody and use that as a ticket to draw more audience. Well, that's what I'm doing with my tennis. So you can't really see it, but the shirt that I'm wearing, people have kind of gotten tired of it, but I don't really care. I vowed probably from about a year, almost a year after I got hit head on, I vowed to wear optic yellow every day of my life for the rest of my life. Because for one 5-second period, a gentleman missed me in the middle of the day wearing a white, cycling kit. And I don't think I can let that happen again. I'm not going through that one again.
I get it. I wear bright stuff. I wear bright colored stuff now too, all the time.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, I had neon armbands when I got hit. It was at 7 in the morning.
Yeah.
Uh, so
Yep.
it's right at that hour. That's probably the worst.
Yeah. Dusk and dawn are the two worst times. Yeah, absolutely.
So, what are the lasting effects of your accident, or did you fully
Um,
recover?
I have I don't, I'm not the kind of guy that says, well, this caused this. I know I was at one time a world class athlete traveling around the country, around the world, playing, high level, intense tennis, which is very demanding, very hard on the body. I'm following one of my friends now. His son is 13 in the world. And I'm watching him go up and down the ladder through injuries because your body can only take so much. You have to have recovery time, and a cyclist, we know the same thing. The one thing I have learned is when I get up on a morning and I've got a 20 or 30 mile ride planned, right at sunrise in the morning. There's some days I get up and just go, no, you know what? I just need another hour rest, just to shut down and let your body. And I've learned to listen a lot better. Um, so I'm not sure the effects or I have a little bit of, I don't know what you call it. It's got to be nerve damage in my right ankle. It feels like I have slept on my leg the wrong way and cut the blood off to my ankle and my foot. And when I wake up, I can feel my toes, I can wiggle them, I can do everything. But to stand on the ball of the foot, which is mandatory as a high level tennis player, is not going to happen. And so, I've had an MRI, I've had MRI with contrast, I've paid out of the pocket to have all that done. And the doctors go, we don't know what's wrong. And I go, well, I guess part of it is, 30 years of high level intense output has caused whatever, my low vertebrae in my back, my leg, my ankle. I don't know. They don't know. So that's basically to me the one thing that has lingered from it. And do I go to work every day? Sure, absolutely. Uh, is it a reminder of what I've been through? Sure, no doubt about it. We all have battle scars, whether they're visible or not, they're there. And, that's my goal with Bike Friendly Atlanta is to somehow, minimize, because right now, the way our, I hate to say politicians, but, it's like they say, you look at it in any sport, the first thing you look at is the coaches. And, the coaches can only lead the players to do what they can do. And at that point, it's the player's job to do it. But if you don't like the system and you don't like what's going on, you fire the coach. Well, we're really not doing too good a job as society of firing the coaches that are making these decisions with our tax dollars. They're spending more than they're taking in. So that right there is, case in point, they ain't doing a good job. But that's about the only real effects that I've had. Per se. I get up every day and I think and I see on Facebook and Instagram my fallen friends and their families, and one of the shirts, I don't have it on now, one of my yellow shirts, because I print all my shirts and hats. Here's one of my hats. Let me see if I can throw my hat up here. There's one of my hats. It's sublimated. I do all that myself. I tell people, if you want a hat or a shirt, it's minimal cost, but 100% of the proceeds goes back into the organization. It zero comes to me. I don't make a dime doing it like a lot of nonprofits. People start them and they're doing it as, 60-70% of what you donate goes to their salary. I want you to believe in what I'm doing so much so that I don't want a dime out of it. I want 100% of it to go towards what we think we can do to raise awareness, to get our politicians to slow people down in cars. And if you got to do camera red lights, I know that's an invasion of privacy issue. I do. But what I believe in is, if you don't run the red light, they're not going to invade anything. If you if you're not, and usually people that are speeding through the red light are running the red light, and usually when that is, an accident because of a crash, then all of a sudden that extra speed dominoes the fatality rate. And so I think, especially inside, major cities and stuff, I mean, I can almost say you can get down to about 30, 35 miles an hour everywhere, because you ain't going nowhere. There's too much traffic and too many red lights and stop signs to go anywhere. So, where these people are dreaming up this invasion of privacy, I get it. I don't trust my government because they can't handle the money that we're giving them in a fundamental way. If you're taking in 600 million a year or 600 billion a year or whatever it is, and you're spending $1 trillion, you're losing. You're losing the battle. You got to cut some zeros somewhere. And I know that's not an easy thing to do, but we're not addressing the traffic and the flow of traffic problem that we have to allow all people, to use our roads safely. And that's where my focus from Bike Friendly Atlanta has, it hasn't shifted. It is really just almost, tunnel vision in to where, we got to get this thing going right. It's not going in a good direction at all.
So this is kind of a more personal question. My fiance, when we split, it was because directly of what my accident and the person I had kind of became afterwards, and
Sure.
I don't know if that is what happened to you in your divorce.
I was 52 at the time when it happened. I don't know. She said that I changed as a person, and I said, I'm sorry. I didn't pick the car. I didn't want to jump up on the hood and hit the windshield face first. I would have avoided it had I seen it. It came up like a lightning bolt, and here he came across the street, and there's nowhere to go. Yeah, I've had a lot of my friends. I'm trying to think back. I have one of my friends who he had some heart valve problems, but they only found it because he had a crash at one time, and I think his ex divorced him because he liked. There's something in the gene of a cyclist that is just part of your DNA. It's your, it's like we say all the time, it's our psychology. We get out on a bike. I'm gonna get through with you here in a little bit, and that's where I'm going. I'm going out here to get on this nice parkway that I live on. It's 5 miles one way, down to the end and back. And I'll ride 10 or 20 miles and it's the same route. But guess what? I get out there and my psychology and freedom and expression and to think, clear my head is right there between my legs. And I love nothing more than that.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna do the same thing. I live by the Silver Comet now. So
Oh yeah, I one of my friends, Steve Rowland, he runs the one of the web pages for the Silver Comet Trail, and I've actually got a few ghost bikes out there on the Silver Comet Trail. So you
yeah.
know,
I happen to live right across the street from Atlanta Cycling in
oh
Miami.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
I used to ride their routes regularly until I got hit, and I don't have Medicare yet. But once I do, then I'll get back on the road.
I get it next year. So yes, sir. I might get me some extra routes starting next year.
Yeah, it's definitely. I'm looking forward to it. So,
Yeah.
so tell me, man. Obviously, you want to put yourself out of business to the point where nobody's getting hit, so you don't have to put any more ghost bikes. But
Right.
where do you plan on taking it in the future? Until that point comes.
Well, I think, and I'll keep doing what I'm doing. Thank God, because I have some search engines, on my Google search engines out there that I have a friend in Oxnard, California, which is just, I guess, a little north, not north, but more west of LA. His son, one of the names on the back of the jersey. I'm getting ready to order some more BFA cycling kits where I have about, I don't know, 130 or 40 names on the back that it's a reminder for people. They pull up on me in a, bless you,
Thank
they
you.
pull up on me in a group ride and they look at the names and they're like, oh my God, do you know? I don't know any of these people. But one day I will have an unbelievable Peloton when I cross over. Maybe somebody will be nice enough to leave me a ghost bike, and I'll cross over and have me a hell of a Peloton somewhere. But it's I'm making contacts with people, around the country. Sadly, through this bad network, I guess you want to say, that like one of my the one I'm going to replace in Santa Rosa Beach. One of my biggest fears when I first started doing this 10 years ago was that it would come full circle and somebody that I knew personally would get killed. And I had that happen about a year and a half ago. A young man, he actually came to a couple of my tennis tennis drills. I coach a lot of high school kids, um, and he went to Brookwood High School. And I'm gonna clean my glasses. And one of his good friends called me. He was a former student of mine for a long time, and he said, I know what you do, and I was hoping I would never, call you, but one of our good friends got killed down in Santa Rosa Beach in Florida, and I was like, oh my God. So it went full circle on me, and it hit like a bigger pile of bricks than normal. I have a big umbrella outside of my townhome here that I have 3 bikes that were donated by, I'll throw her name out there, Celeste Burr, over in Marietta. I picked them up about a month ago and put them out. They're sitting out there waiting to be painted, sanded down and painted and everything. So I sit out a lot of times up under that canopy, and a lot of times I cry. I just sit and cry because I know the horror that a family is going to go through, and it will never end. It is. People say, well, this person who's left here, and most of the time they don't even get they don't even get probation. So to say they have a sentence, oh, they'll remember it. No, they won't. I've seen it. A lady that gave me one of my sayings on one of my shirts. It says, um, "Distracted driving kills innocent people and destroys innocent lives." And basically, what that's saying is not only do you take an innocent person away from the earth, but you also kill another life that is still here forever. It will never be the same. This lady lives in North Carolina now. I talked with her. Her daughter got taken by a distracted driver. and her daughter was in a car, and just it just changed that woman for her entire life. Her daughter was her life, and she lived in a small city, where she would see this other woman, shopping somewhere, and the other woman's like, oh, nothing ever happened. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. And we allow people to continue to drive when they've taken people's lives. If we don't shake you up to tell you that you're driving a killing machine, I don't know how else to do it. I mean, one of my other shirts that I haven't started printing yet, it's going to have a gun and a car on it. And it's going to say, why does one of these misused result in prison time and the other one doesn't? And it's true.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're the guy that you wish that people met you under different circumstances.
Absolutely. And that's hopefully with my, I've had a lot of people. I mean, even the lady that the first ghost bike that I put out, it's got the only ghost bike rack that I know of it's in downtown Decatur, and it represents the first ghost bike that I put out, which was only about a mile from there, for Paul Taylor. The lady there, her name is Barbara Taylor, just a great woman. Paul was about my age at the time, had two daughters like I had at the time, or still have. And her life went from having two incomes and two daughters to having one income, two daughters, and only one babysitter. And that is hard enough in itself. Luckily, she was a working mother, and her job, paid enough. But in a lot of circumstances, it doesn't. It puts you in such a horror film that it's unfathomable. People, they'll get by. That is such a joke that it really appalls me when I hear somebody say, "Oh, well, they'll learn how to manage." And I look at them, I want to just, I don't want to say slap them, but I like to wake them up, because it is something that should be prevented probably 98, 99% of the time.
Yeah, that's definitely true. And I mean, if they don't kill you, it's even worse because, I mean, for me, I think it would, because, you're considered a vehicle. It's not like you get hit, they hit you. It's not considered assault. They have to kill you in order to get vehicular manslaughter. If that, if
Right.
they don't kill you, it's not even actually
Yeah.
punishable. It's just a traffic offense.
That's exactly right. And that to me, I've like, I've had guys that, they've got spine injuries. They got this. I mean, like there was one guy down there in downtown Atlanta. Uh, they actually finally got the footage off of somebody's camera on the corner of their house, that, this guy went by on a bicycle. And I don't know if he had waved. I had a group of kids one time. I waved to them. They went by me really close, and I just kind of waved to them, like, hey, kind of also saying, maybe give me a little more room, but I didn't flip them off. Well, they thought I flipped them off, and they turned around and were trying to come back and get me. We're gonna beat you up, man. Da, 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 da. And I was like, you're never gonna catch me in a car. I'm gonna go through these intersections and make U-turns. You're never gonna catch me. You're gonna wait in traffic, and that's the nature of being on a bike versus a car, is you can out run somebody else if you really want to. And so, just because you can corner a lot faster. But this guy, something happened, and he took offense to this cyclist. What they showed him going back by, on this camera a couple of times. Well, they pinned him down, and finally he got charged. I mean, this guy, I can't remember the guy's name now, it was in Atlanta. He's like a paraplegic for life. And I'm like, I don't get it. And we think that that's just an accident. It showed him, this guy in the red, it was a red Jeep, I think, going back by this security camera. That's the only way they caught him, was that the security camera happened to catch him going by, in a reverse way. And it's just sad, but people don't take driving a car as something that can actually kill. And until we get that, either get that into drivers' minds, is that, think of everybody on the road as a baby. You would treat a baby like with the most care you can. That's the way we're going to have to start driving, because otherwise it's just the wild, wild west out there. You literally almost need to drive a tank, and then you can survive.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely had, there's like, and you have no protection either. Sure, you have a helmet, but that's really nothing.
Yeah,
A
that's
helmet,
nothing.
a helmet does not prevent a traumatic brain injury. It just prevents me from my skull from cracking open.
That's right.
So it is definitely, it's a cruel, in a way, it's a cruel world out there, and it's not made for people like us.
No, it's, I think, like I said before, I've had conversation after conversation with people sitting eating breakfast sometimes. They'll see my shirt and ask me, and I look at them and I go, it's like this. If I'm going down a bike path and it's like an 8 foot wide bike path, like the Silver Comet, and there's one in Alpharetta, there's one down there at I can't remember, Arabia Mountain. I mean, they're building them a lot of places, and I applaud. I do. I applaud our politicians and officials for doing some things like that. I do, but it's not what we got to go. We got to go attack. One of my shirts is going to have a white stripe down the front, and it's going to say, "Does this white stripe make you feel safer?" And the answer is no. What will make me feel safer is that if I know I get hit, somebody on the other side, like I said, I asked one officer one time, I said, "How many 3-foot law infractions have you given?" He goes, "Well, none. We don't really check for that." And I said, "So when a cyclist is hit by a car, would that not automatically be a 3-foot law citation?" And he's looked at me. I said, "You damn right it would be. You're infracting on his right to ride a bike, unless he was." I don't want to say he was in the middle of the road, because I ride in the middle of the road so that I am safer. I'm easier seen, and for you to pass me, you have to get in the other lane. I only do that on a 4-lane road, like a road that's 35 or 45 miles an
Yeah.
hour, and there's
Mhm.
room to go around. But if it's a single lane road, number one, I won't be on there too long if I can help it. But at the same, like this road I ride on, when we get through, it's 4 lanes, so you got plenty of room to go around me. So I'm not going to ride, on the white line, because I know what's over there. You got trash, debris, potholes, all that stuff that at a flat tire's mercy, now I'm all of a sudden sitting, and got worse trouble. But if I'm going down a bike path and there's 3 people, walking, and they're taking up the whole lane, and I've got to go in the other lane, the first thing I'll do is make sure nobody's coming. As soon as I see nobody's coming, I will move over in the other lane. I will say, "On your left," and I will keep going. And it's my job as the faster vehicle to let you know and to pass as safely as possible. Now, while I'm passing those 3 people, I'm going to make sure one of them doesn't jump to the left. Like, I'm saying "on your left." I don't mean jump to the left. I mean, I'm on your left. And I've had that happen. So I'm very cautious in passing 3 walking people. Well, to me, the onus is on the car to do the same thing with a cyclist or a pedestrian that's on the road, crossing the road, walking down the road. You just got to take a few seconds to make sure everybody's safer. But if we don't grab our driving, skills, the testing, and also start giving the citations where they are obviously, need to be given, we're never going to get anything done.
Yeah, and there's always this misplaced hate and rage towards us.
Always. Yep.
That's
I don't
just,
know if it's jealousy that, "Oh my God, they're out there on a bike and I wish I was there, but I ain't never going to give it an attempt because it's unsafe." Well, guess what? If more would come out and do it, we would have less health care problems from heart conditions and stuff like that. But we also would get more of a demand on and I don't want to say to put all the onus on the policemen, because they got enough to do. But yet you can camera a red light so that people are not speeding so much. That slows you down. That all of a sudden starts to lower fatalities of every number. And that's where I think, I battle this all the time with people talking about them. We need to use technology as best we can. Do I trust my government? No. But we haven't tried it enough yet to see if it can really make a huge impact. And so why are we wasting money on building all these structures and all this other stuff when we need to calm our traffic down and get it to where it's manageable,
Yeah, and the funny thing is with red light cameras and speed traps like that are all camera based, you can actually appeal to in court that they violate your Fourth Amendment because you don't have the right to face your accuser.
Here we go again. I think the judge should look at you and go, we got you on camera running the red light. They got the sensor set up. It won't ticket you if you're in the crosswalk, just getting in the intersection. If it turns yellow, then you're fine. It's when it's red and then you enter the crosswalk on your own side. That's when you get the ticket. At some point in time, our courts have to start standing up going, this is a waste of our time and money. Get your butt out of here, pay the ticket or lose your license and be done with it. It's either that or we're going to keep losing people in cars and on bikes and walking, and that's the tragedy of the result of not doing anything.
So Dave, let me get you here out of here on this one. Where is a place that you've placed a ghost bike that no one would have thought if they've had to?
I hate to tell you. About 5 years ago, I was getting ready to go down to Orlando, just a vacation. And I saw an article in the newspaper about a little 18-month-old that got killed on a bike. And I was like, wait a minute, an 18-month-old riding a bike. It's obviously got to be a
balance bike.
Or that or a little carrier behind the bike. And sure enough, I get down there and I'm about to start crying again. This one hit me really hard. A mom and a dad were riding their bikes on a bike path 9 feet off the road, separated by sand. It's in Florida. You know what's in Florida. Ain't no dirt. It's sand. And the car went off the road across the 9 feet of dirt, hit and killed the little 18-month-old and put the mom and the dad in the hospital. And I said, how bad could it be to wake up in a hospital and be told that your 18-month-old is dead?
Horrible.
I put it out. I went down there one night. I'm crying now. Her name was Adeline Aziza. And I put that out and I got a little email about 4 or 5 months later from the mom. And she said, and it was a little bitty bike, a little white bike that I put out for her. And it was really touching to know that even that little bit of a token of a white bike that I painted meant something to a parent that has lost everything for the rest of her life. And those are the kinds of things that I wake up and go, I got to keep plugging. I got to keep doing what I'm doing. And, people can put out ghost bikes all they want to. I want them to, because it raises awareness. But unless we can collaborate and get them all together as a number, then no politicians, you're individuals and they don't care about individuals. It's when you can affect I don't want to affect an election. I want to make an election smarter. In other words, I want to tell Eric, these are the politicians running for this office. This is how they stand on making our streets safer. And everything else you need to take into account, whether it's budgeting or projects they're going to do and things like that. But this is where they stand on cycling and making our infrastructure safer. And then you go vote as you want to. I'm not one of those guys going to tell you vote for Republican or Democrat. I don't care. I really don't. I want somebody that's going to do the right job for our streets to get safer. Because right now, all of them are just looking over the top of what we're screaming about, hoping that we just go away. And I hope Bike Friendly gets big enough following wise to be able to tell a politician or get in front of their politicians and ask them all, what are you going to do? And then I'm going to hold you to it. I'm going to make sure 4 months later, and if you don't want to do it after 6 months, 8 months, I know it's red tape, but if you're not going to do what you say, I'm coming back in whatever 2 or 4 years, and I'm going to let people know you lied to us. And that's the kind of thing that I think we as a society can use this multimedia to make it better. And we have to. We can't leave this place to our kids worse than what we got it. Because we used to ride our bikes to school and all over. And because our parents and everybody else that was driving, there may not have been as much traffic, but we also looked at driving a lot differently than we do now. We obviously do.
Yeah, definitely. Well, hey, Dave, thanks for giving me some time this morning. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, Eric. I surely appreciate it.
All right. Take it easy. Maybe I'll see you around.
Yes, sir. Take care. Be safe out there. Take care. Bye-bye.